Yes. Hello. Welcome to the House of Cat and Skunk. We are. Welcome to the House of Cat and Skunk.
Sorry, I didn't have my end muted.
Welcome to the House of Cat and Skunk. Yes, we are. Coffee. Yes, coffee.
We haven't had any yet.
We haven't had any yet, and we're a little bit silly over here. Yeah. A little bit different tenor, different gravitas than yesterday's stream. I think rather than gravitas, I'd rather have a demitas. Um, yeah. So hi. Yes, the House of Cat and Skunk, and we have the cat and the skunk, and in the plushy form over there, beneath the. Well, you can't see the. Damn it! Directions. Okay. Yeah, there it is. All right. So. Yeah. So, your magnanimous and plenipotentiary hosts here have called upon me to deliver unto you the secrets of the coffee. Now, why is it that I am particularly qualified to talk about coffee, you may well ask, as well you may. The reason being that I am a product, I guess you could say, of a coffee culture. My people, mostly Armenian, from Anatolia, are very much a coffee-drinking people, coffee-making people, for quite a long time, and that's the byproduct of Ottoman culture. It does not just involve sofas, don't worry. This is a product of Ottoman culture where coffee was a drink, but it was also a means over which to conduct political and economic business. It's also a hallmark of different things, different major events in life, social spaces. So this is something that's just always been there for me. And the tradition in my family is that when the kid turns 7 years old, you drag her into the kitchen. She could probably barely see over the stove, and you teach her how to make Turkish coffee. She's not allowed to have Turkish coffee because the saying goes, it'll put hair on your chest. In Armenian, they say, don't drink it, their hair will grow on your chest. Post-transition, I have different feelings about that. I guess it was a good thing that they didn't allow me to drink coffee, but until I was, 15, 16. But I was supposed to make the coffee for the family, for visitors. This was a thing that was expected of me. You can hear the kettle in the background.
All rise for the Armenian
All
national
rise for
anthem.
the Armenian national anthem. Ah. Now, as we all know, the Armenian national anthem is System of a Down song Aliens. Or really any song by System of a Down. Anyway, before I inadvertently make a copyright strike happen, so this is some of my credentials, my cultural credentials, to talk to you about coffee today. Now, we're not just going to do Turkish coffee. Sidebar, you should be aware that you should be very careful and pay attention to what people who drink what might otherwise be called Turkish coffee are calling Turkish coffee, because this is something that's very politically loaded and will get you punched sometimes if you're not careful. I get hairy eyebrow, finger wag, if I call it Turkish coffee around Armenians who have strong feelings, and that's a lot of them. So, be careful about what you call it. Turkish coffee, Greek coffee, Armenian coffee, Arabic coffee, what the hell ever. It's the same thing. Did I say that? Yeah. So, um, my skunk assistant, please bring unto me a demitasse and a demitasse for my ass and my vessel with which to prepare it with. Also a teaspoon-sized spoon, if you will. And as I am explaining, you can bring unto me. Ooh,
Does that need cleaned?
yeah. Maybe get one of the ones in the shelf below that.
Okay.
Okay, and when you bring it out, you can then get the appropriate ground. Not. Wait, hang on. This is a problem. See, Twitter has a Twitter. I'm always on Twitter. Twitch has a lag. Thank you. Okay, now
A small spoon.
a teaspoon. Twitch has a lag, so I'm casting over here and seeing myself in real time. But up there on my other monitor, I'm like 10, 15 seconds behind. It's a little bit disconcerting. Thank you.
Is small enough?
Yes, he's small enough. Yes. Okay, so we're beginning to assemble the ingredients here. So
What next?
the coffee, the appropriate coffee, please.
Okay, so let us bring
We're going to be
3 different coffees.
We are going to be bringing you 3 different coffees, not all at once.
Actually, I am bringing them all.
Well, you are bringing them all at once, but we're not going to have them all at once.
Yes.
Okay, so steel cup, French roast blend. What ground is this?
This is I believe it's a Turkish ground.
Okay.
I got this at the East End Food Co-op. They are from, I believe they are from Penn Hills.
Yes, Iznim Monrovi.
Yeah. That's an inside
That's
joke.
an inside joke.
This is a Sumatran. This is also a Turkish ground. Turkish ground, of course, means coffee dust.
Yes, you need to be cautious of this if you're going to be trying this ground because it is on most coffee grinders in the United States. However, the Turkish setting takes a high level of maintenance in order to maintain because it's the finest setting and it's beyond espresso. So I have talked to people who work in roasteries and such, and their explanation is that unless the machine is actively maintained very carefully, it can very quickly lose its capability to do a proper Turkish ground. So be careful about where you're getting this. You can get a home grinder that does specifically Turkish ground. Those actually may be worth the investment, but just know that there is such a thing as getting it mechanically ground Turkish style. You're just gonna need to be discerning. Remember, Turkish ground is coffee dust. Espresso ground is coffee sand.
This is Sumatran coffee from 19 Coffee in Washington, PA.
Yeah.
You can get these various places throughout the town. We usually get them at Trax Farms in Finleyville.
Mm-hmm.
This is Rise Up from Maryland. Where in Maryland? I don't remember where in Maryland. But we get it in Grantsville, Maryland, which is right on the border with Pennsylvania.
I'm going to guess Frederick.
It says Easton, Maryland.
Easton.
I have no idea what
Okay.
that is. And this is a medium roast as well. For the demitasse, now what are we going to be doing with that one?
We need to be starting from the piece de resistance. We need to be doing the bring me the jezva.
In the jezva. Okay.
Yes.
In that case, start with that one.
Yes, and you can see me face plant into a bag of coffee.
It's like an ether cone.
Yes. So my character name RiverSoorjcat. Surj is the Armenian word for coffee. So, yeah,
The most calming effect on a sewage cat.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
My mother, God's bless her. So I'm from Philadelphia, and there's a place in Philadelphia called the Head Nut, which is like if you're a Pittsburgher, imagine somewhere in suburban Philadelphia that has all of the spices and dried fruits and and cooking stuff of the Strip District, but crammed into one store in suburban Philadelphia. But they have this entire room that is all coffee and tea. And my mother used to take me along on her shopping trips there. Not when I was a kid, but like when I was like fresh out of college. She used to take me on her shopping trips there just to see the look on my face when I would walk into the coffee room, and because if any of you play the Halo games, the monk chorus at in the loading screen, it was kind of like the choirs of angels lifting me up as I would enter that room, and my mother would just giggle to herself and go, "You're so funny."
I have seen this in person.
She has seen this in person
Not
as well.
from there.
Not at the Head Nut. We still have to go to the Head Nut.
That is true.
But yeah, this is a thing that happens to me. Yeah, the Head Nut is in Baklatan. Yes, that's it's worth the trip. It's a local institution. So you're gonna need something to cook with, right? So this is what's called a jezve.
There's about 9 different spellings.
Modern Turkish orthography has the letter C pronounced J, so you might see it spelled Cezve. You can spell it.
Is that the C with the check on it?
No,
it's not that one.
That would be Ch.
Okay.
So jezve, Cezve, or Jezve if you want. Same thing anyway. I've heard this also called an ibrik, which is another Turkish word.
Nick just said that. An ibrik.
An ibrik.
Yep.
Same thing. A samovar is not this. I do not have a samovar. However, so I mentioned at the beginning, when I was 7 years old, the family ritual was observed in which I was dragged into the kitchen on my 7th birthday and taught how to make Turkish coffee. I could barely see over the stove, and I have no fucking clue why they allowed me to operate a gas range at age 7. But here we are, and it stuck. It's weird, but like I thought I would forget, but it stuck. I didn't make it for years and years, like between the beginning of high school and the middle of college. And then when I got back from 3.5 months in Japan and stayed with my uncle in New York City, he said, "Make us some coffee." And I said, "I can't remember." He goes, "Yes, you can." And sure enough, it didn't go away. All right.
From when you were in high school, is that when your younger brother started learning how to make coffee?
Oh no, he's only 2 years younger than me.
Though. Oh, okay.
But yeah, no, it was. I got to the point where I was old enough that nobody cared, and if somebody else made the coffee, I could drink it. So.
Okay.
All right.
Let's do this
on
the screen.
Yeah. So
I will hold the
Thank you. So you can't see it against my black shirt. All right. So you see 1 teaspoon.
You're going to spill tiny amounts of it. That's just going to happen.
It pays to be cautious, but you may wind up spilling tiny amounts, and that's okay. Happy little accidents. I am the lesbian Bob Ross. All right. Would that be Boob Ross? Right. So, yeah. So 2 of these we're starting out with. Now, if you would please, darling, bring me the kettle.
The hot kettle.
Yes. We're going to be very careful. What is it Emmy says with our impeccably clean hands?
Let me make sure it's nice and hot.
So we've got the coffee in the pot. Now, spicing. You may have heard of people having cinnamon or pumpkin spice or cardamom or anise in their coffee. Cardamom is the Lebanese style
Turn around
of...
so they can see the label.
There you go. Cardamom is the Lebanese style of seasoning for coffee. Now, be sure you get it ground. You only need just a little bit. My parents, God's bless them, have a roastery that they go to in Beirut. And the roastery mixes the cardamom in with the coffee when you have it ground. And I have had the privilege of having this coffee, and it is amazing. But anyway, all right. So
I will hold the jezva.
Now, very carefully, you're not supposed to...
You want to keep...
Fuck.
It is hot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, you want to do this away from your legs.
Yes, I've hurt myself quite enough for one lifetime. All right. 1, 2. Now we're doing this the quick and dirty way. Ordinarily, this is not how you would do it. We're doing this for expedience. Topping that off a little because we spilled. All right, now could you please take this back? Oh, bad.
Okay.
Thank you.
I figure we're gonna keep using that.
Yeah.
For the French press, so I'm going to.
Yeah.
Put it on the gas burner.
All right. So I had the water boiled first. You can do that. That's allowed. That's quicker. The reason, if it was just a matter of boiling the water ahead of time and just putting all the ingredients together and you're instantly done, you could do that, but you wouldn't need one of these. If we had the time, they say a watched pot never boils, so we're on a schedule here. If we had the time, what I would do is I would start with room temperature water, 1 demitasse per 1 teaspoon of coffee. And I would put that in there, and I would boil it. There is politics tied up in how many times you boil it. When I learned how to do this, my grandmother, God's rest her soul, said, let it boil 3 times, and then it's done. So boil, take it off the fire, boil, take it off the fire. She says, the Turks do it 7 times. We don't do it that way. So, yeah. People have strong feelings about these things.
Right. Finish that, and then we should get to the espresso because it's already 20 after.
It's quick and it's just quick and dirty if you put it in the kettle first and then measure the cups out and put it all together in here. But this was that very grandmother's jezve. I inherited this. I do not have the family coffee grinder. I wish I did. I hope I can still inherit it. My uncle, who made me make him coffee that fine day after I came back from Japan, has the family coffee grinder. It is from the 1890s. It survived a genocide and 2 world wars, and I have been in its presence, and my God, it still works. It has the accretion of over a century of coffee. And not to get too spiritual in a stream otherwise about coffee, but as a Shintoist, it's, to think of this thing that's been in my family for 100 years. There's this belief that things that are over 100 years that are especially cherished become tsukumogami. They become sort of a spirit unto themselves. So that coffee grinder, I long for it. I long for it. Anyway, so gonna have just a nip of coffee because I need coffee and I don't want to get too silly. Fun fact, some of you may already be aware, people with ADD tend to have the opposite reaction to coffee that most people do. So most people get hyper because of coffee. For me, it's the opposite. It helps me relax, it helps me focus, it helps me maintain some measure of equilibrium and calm, including emotional calm. I don't know quite how it works, but just it works, and quite a few people I've spoken to who also have ADD have reported similar results. So it's a kind of medicine for me. Just saying.
All right, let's move on to
Okay, let's move on.
espresso pots.
Take this off stage, please.
Okay.
Okay. So next up is the espresso pot, also known as a mocha pot. You want to be careful with these. You want to be careful with these because if you leave it unattended for way too long, the handle can burn off because the handles tend to be made out of plastic these days. You also want to be careful because if you drop the top half, it can get dinged, and the skunk and I have had pain in the ass of a time getting this reformed. So be careful. So you can see this comes in different components. You got the top half over there.
Show them the inside if you
The
can.
vessel where the coffee collects. You can see the accreted coffee in there. Do remember to clean your mocha pot's top half. I still need to get after that. Underneath you have this plate with holes for the water to steam up, and then we have a rubber, not rubber, but like a synthetic rubber seal, a gasket. And remember to replace these every once in a while because you can burn them out, and they sort of lose their integrity. So you need to replace those. Now, bottom half.
Don't tip it because there's already water.
There's already water in it. See, I thought ahead. All right. So bottom half, we have a hopper. Again with holes. Now note the hole there. I don't know what the proper term for this is. I should learn. The secret of getting this right is that on the inside of this hole right here, the water is supposed to come up to right underneath. So don't go past it because it needs to breathe. So you put that in place, and then we take the coffee.
We're going to use the Rise Up.
We're going to use the Rise Up from Easton, Maryland.
And do it over the garbage can if you can.
Organic Maryland coffee from Organic Maryland. Well, that is the organic part of Maryland, don't you think?
Yeah, I think that is an espresso grind. I didn't think their grinder could do a Turkish.
Yeah.
Which is fine for the espresso pot.
All right.
We have filled that one, not heaping, but pretty much level.
Yeah, you need to get it level. Don't make it heaping because then it doesn't have room. It needs a little bit of room to breathe. And when this is ready, you're gonna hear it. You'll see.
Okay. And I'm going to put that. Did you inhale coffee?
I did inhale coffee.
Okay, I'm going to put that over here on the...
But then I normally inhale coffee.
On that burner?
Yes, on the burner. And we're going to... Fuck.
No, we're not.
Damn it.
I don't think it's... I think that's against Twitch terms of service.
We're not in Connecticut.
For that.
Another in joke. Okay, so you raise an interesting point, Lo-Fi Snip Hop. Eating coffee. Now, while we're waiting for this, couple of things. Do you want to do the French press now? Or?
Yeah, let's do the French press now.
So we're gonna be doing the French press at the same time. Now, you want to...
We don't have a lot of the Sumatran left, so I think, is that going to be fine for the French press? Okay.
Now, This is a French press. Some of you may have already seen. I'll get to eating coffee in a moment, though, because we've got this other form of coffee just off camera here. All right, so a French press is deceptively simple. You got filter. You got this mesh here with holes in the metal plate and spout strainer thing up there. And so
Oh yes, so we take
so
the Maryland coffee away.
The thing to do here is to remember that. Oh, just so you wait. This gets into my professional purview as a military historian. All right, so you don't need too much. Some people go by spoonful amounts. I eyeball it.
She eyeballs it because, well, she is experienced.
Maybe we can use the rest of this. Yeah, I think that'll be good. Also, I have observed the preparation of this for quite a while. So, yeah. All right.
Okay.
So, we've got
Sniff.
sniff. Oh. Oh, now that's good. Was it good for you? All right. Okay. So we want to. If you could bring me the kettle.
The kettle.
Now, sort of like with the cardamom and the Turkish coffee, you can season this. It's allowed. I'm not going to season this particular one, but you can.
Ooh, hot kettle.
I've got a friend whose personal ritual for, when she's finally past Halloween and into the pre-Christmas period, will put cinnamon in her ground cinnamon in her French press. So.
Okay. How much am I putting in?
Okay, so we don't want to put too much. We want to go up to the metal band there.
The bottom of the band?
Bottom of the band.
Bottom of the band. Okay, move over slightly so I can do this over the...
No, you can't. I can't really move any.
How about backwards then?
You want to... Yeah, there you go.
There we are.
Ta-da! Yeah, no, that's a nice sound. Nice hiss. We're not going to talk about coffee instant.
Oh dear God.
Coffee instant, type 1. So, yeah. Now, note that the plunger is all the way up. We want to let this sit for a little while. And then we're going to slowly depress the plunger. Now be careful as you're doing this, because if you force it down too hard, the coffee will come sputtering out and you will have a bad time. Especially if it's scalding hot. Be patient. You will be rewarded.
Hand me the French roast bag that's over on the left.
And you the French roast bag that's on my left. Okay.
Yep.
All right, so as do I. Slowly depress, slowly express. Going to slowly.
Malin has a question.
Hang on. Okay. See? Slowly. I told you you'd be able to hear the mocha pot. Okay, so Malin has a question. Can you put the same coffee as used in an automatic drip coffee maker in the French press? I would. Some people might disagree with me, but I would, certainly. The French press...
Move forward slightly.
Having the grounds too fine, I think, is the the issue with the French press, because if you have coffee dust like with Turkish coffee, it's going to be a problem for straining. But if you have coffee sand on up, there's flexibility there, so you should be able to. I think you should be able to use the same that you'd be using in an automatic drip coffee maker. That being said, opinions will differ. So now I mentioned I was going to talk about eating coffee. So those of you who attended yesterday will remember that I am a military historian by training. I have a PhD from my PhD and my generalized anxiety both come from the University of Pittsburgh, and my specialty is the 1860s in Japan, but also sort of by extension in the United States. And it turns out, yay! I would love to hear how it goes. I would love to hear how using your French press goes. So, during the American Civil War, because of the blockade, the Anaconda Plan, it was called, because of the blockade of southern ports by the United States Navy, the rebels did not have coffee, or did not have ready access to coffee. The North, however, did. That being said, there wasn't always time to prepare the coffee, because they'd get issued a coffee ration, and they would have to grind it themselves. So you get a thing of coffee beans, right? You have to grind it up with the butt of your rifle.
Coming up shortly.
Oh, yes. Coming up shortly. A still different format, which I was introduced to by the skunk. So you'd have to grind up the coffee grounds with the butt of your rifle, and you could get a boil up on, in a canteen or in a kettle or whatever, to get hot water for your coffee. But you could just as easily be ordered to drop everything and move out. So what are you gonna do? Some Union soldiers would just eat the coffee, just the grounds. And me being the the coffee fiend, the caffeine, if you will, that I am, sometimes when I'm drinking Turkish coffee, I will just eat the grounds because I don't know, it's weird sensory thing. But also, back to the cooking coffee in jezve, in the Turkish coffee, the Middle Eastern style, there's a tradition of reading the grounds. This is similar to the tradition of reading tea leaves. It's called tasseography, is the proper term. So I've known many an old lady who fancied herself a diviner and would read the future in grounds. So I guess that's partly the other reason why I eat coffee, like coffee grounds, is because I feel like I'm seizing control of my fate. So it's a little bit symbolic for me. All right, so we got that, and
do you want to use the WPAFW glass or the Philadelphia glass?
I will use the Philadelphia mug. And could you check on the status of the coffee in there while I'm telling them about Philadelphia? So not to get too go too incoming. Is it full? Or
it looks fairly full.
Is it nearly to the top of the spout, or the
top of the? Nearly to the top of the inlet.
Okay, that means it's done.
Okay.
All right. So
burner way back down.
Philadelphia, a couple years ago, we had the privilege of going. Their theme was Rocky's Roastery, and really, who could resist? How could a SoorjCat resist?
I should have worn that shirt.
How could a SoorjCat resist the lure of a coffee-themed convention? Coffee-themed FurCon, even.
And they did nail it.
Oh, yes. They
especially the merch.
We, in fact, have a more differenter French press that's specifically from that convention. It was great. They really went the whole 9 yards. So it was a good time. Hopefully we'll be able to go to another convention in the near future, but of course, the coffee theme was a one-off. But I mean, I guess if I'm around, every con is SoorjCon. Oh, that's nice. That's the first time I had that steel cup.
Wait, was that from the French press?
Yeah.
I thought the French press was
right. That's Maryland. That's the first time.
No, that's the 19.
That's the 19.
Yeah, that's the Sumatra 19.
I don't normally have this many varieties of coffee at the same time. So yeah,
we use the Maryland and the espresso.
We'll be having the Maryland in a moment. Now you may well ask, RiverSoorjcat, if you are so fond of coffee and it does so much wonders for your attention deficit, is there such a thing as too much?
Oh yeah.
The skunk knows. The skunk knows. I've got a red over here, hun. You were saying that marker down there? That marker down there is supposed to be green?
Yeah. Yeah, we're still fine. It probably just lagged a little.
All right, so you may well ask, SoorjCat, is there such a thing as too much? The answer is yes. Some of you may be familiar with the term shot in the dark. A shot in the dark is, how can I describe? So, 2 shots of espresso, which we're about to try, in a cup of strong drip coffee. So about this much. Thank you, Manic. So you put 2 shots into one of these, or bigger, and that's called a shot in the dark. I thought I could handle it. I enjoyed my coffee. About 45 minutes later in the car, I felt like I was going to vibrate out of existence and be sick at the same time. So yes, there is such a thing as too much coffee, even for a weirdo like me. So, make of that what you will. All right, so we've got our.
Unfortunately, the only espresso mug I have is
here. No,
it has to do with my workplace.
Actually, you don't.
Oh, really?
Look in the left hand. Look in the left hand cabinet. Other side. Left hand. Corner. There you go. Little white mug.
Oh.
Do you see?
Plain old Starbucks one.
Yeah. So we don't have to involve unpleasant.
Yeah.
Things. All right.
Everyone knows who I work for.
So we got the espresso ready. I'm gonna try something. Could you please, bring unto me, oh darling of my heart,
one espresso pot.
One espresso pot.
Nice and
steamy. Now.
Steam didn't really come through. Let me move the Rocky's Roastery switch. I'll move that over here.
There we go. All right, so Demeter size thing of espresso. Sniff, sniff. Sniff, sniff.
I myself cannot handle coffee that hot. I usually have to wait several minutes for it to cool down, or I might just throw some ice into it because I am a horrible, what's the word I'm looking for? Barbarian.
Barbarian.
Isn't that the elephant?
My goodness, that is hot, but it's good. So, while we're waiting for the next phase here, because I think we're doing the.
I'll tell you what, though. How about an Americano?
Yeah, we're doing Americano.
Okay, what do you want to do the Americano with? The espresso?
Let's do it traditional style with the espresso.
Okay.
So
let's use this so that people can actually see the clearness as it happens.
Yet another format of coffee. The Americano. Now, you may well ask, SoorjCat, why? Hello, wee mads. You may well ask, SoorjCat, why is it called American? Americano. This is Italian for American. Well, 1944, 1943 into 1944, the United States Army invaded Italy from the south. And so American soldiers started to have the experience of Italian cafes and Italian-style coffee, espresso being one type. That being said, for your average American, espresso is very strong. I think the tastes have shifted a little bit since then. So the solution that, so to speak, that enterprising Italian restaurateurs came up with was to have the shot of espresso, or 2 shots of espresso,
hold it by the handle,
in, and add to that.
Move back and
add to that a quantity of just boiling water.
Is that enough?
It's a small Americano.
Okay.
The result being this. The Americano. The American. So for the GIs who who thought espresso was too strong, this is the... Oh, I'm glad to help, Lo-Fi Snap Hop. Having benefited from many a stream of that sort in my time, this means a lot to me, so thank you. So this is an artifact of the 1940s, and it's still enjoyed today. You can, in your average cafe in Greater Pittsburgh, chances are you'll see Americano on the menu. I don't think I've seen the oatmeal comic about the Americano. I'll have to look that up. So now, we're not doing all the kinds of coffee preparation today. There's simply not enough time for that. Also, I'm not experienced enough with that. Recently...
and we don't have all the equipment for it.
Yes, we don't have all the equipment for it. Recently, the skunk and I have been enjoying a YouTube cook whose channel is called Emmy Made in Japan. And she will periodically do these new and different kinds of coffee preparation. Some of them involving eggs. I'm a little bit confused. My Anatolian sensibilities feel a little bit bewildered. But apparently that's a thing. That's a thing in, I think in Sweden and also in Vietnam. You clarify, you make a smoother coffee by introducing egg. The mustelids may have opinions about this, but I feel confused. So we're not going to be doing all the different kinds. We are not going to be doing all the different kinds of coffee today, but we've got, I think, 1 or 2 more. Yeah, do you have, Weemans, do you have local varieties of coffee in Scotland? I'd be curious. I'd be curious to know. Okay. Now, there's a thought.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. While we're waiting, one further type of coffee, which the skunk introduced me to, is called...
Affogato!
Yes. Strange for the gato to have not heard of the affogato. Interesting. I didn't know that. Thank you. Alright, so we have some vanilla ice cream here. You can use any kind of ice cream, really, within reason. I think some kinds of ice cream would not lend themselves as well. Let's put it that way.
Probably.
Like a fruity ice cream would not really...
I would not go with the fruity ice cream.
But like anything that's sort of like a vanilla or a chocolate or a, something that's non-fruity would, I think, be suited well for this. So we've got some ice cream. We've got some Turkish coffee. Doesn't have to be Turkish coffee. I've seen this done with espresso. Some of the places we used to go to would do it with espresso. So the secret is, if you'll do the honors.
Oh, Let's see. How much should I just say when? Okay. How do I?
There you go.
Getting a little bit of grinds in here. That's kind of the point.
Seasoning. Seasoning, darling. Seasoning. Okay. So what you wind up with is, honestly, I think, the closest thing to that I've had
Tip
to
it just a little bit toward the camera.
that I have had to the egg coffee stuff, since it's sort of smooth and creamy. You've got sort of a coffee ice cream thing.
I chose the one in the Jesva because you put the cardamom in it.
Good call. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So. Yeah, if you mix it up, yes, the ice cream will melt a bit, but again, you wind up with a smooth, nice, sort of half dessert, half drink thing, and that's called an affogato. The skunk and I have enjoyed many a time having this at different cafes around Pittsburgh.
I remember very fondly 21st Street Coffee, which used to be in the Strip District.
Yeah.
They did that quite well.
Oh yes, oh yes. They had an in-house brand of coffee, type of ice cream, I think, didn't they?
No, I think they used Kerber's. No, they used Penn State Creamery because the owner had a shipment in.
Yeah, do you want to have?
Yes, I will.
Okay. So, variety of methods of preparation of coffee. Now, I want to pause here, as it were, and ask questions, comments.
We have about 10 minutes.
We have about 10 minutes left, so I want to pause and engage the room, as it were. I feel significantly less silly and a little bit more settled now that I've had my coffee. So thank you for that. Yeah, see? That's how you do it. That's how you do it.
I like the flavor of coffee. When it is served piping hot, I just can't deal with it.
Oh, hon, bring your bag of cappuccino stuff. Oh. Just as an illustration. So, as an illustration of there being different varieties, different methods and varieties. So we have here instant espresso.
That's That's nice and local.
This is local. This is DeLello. You've probably seen this brand. They rather famously do pasta and pasta sauce.
And olives.
And
olives.
And holy crap, their antipasto bar. But anyway, they do...
If you've never been out to DeLello's store in Jeanette on Route 30, go.
Highly recommended. Now... Oh, they've even got... So, you got a little picture of a tiramisu here. You can use coffee as seasoning on desserts. And so that's what this is for. You can use this to drink, like it's a mix. This is coffee instant. But this is also for cooking. So there's this. And then...
You can use it on ice cream too.
We can, yeah. And then there's something like this. Cappuccino mix.
That's the stuff you'll usually find in your, like your gas station espresso machine or cappuccino machine.
Exactly. And the skunk's preferred variety of coffee is, I think, that one. I think it looks like it's smoother and sweeter.
Yeah. And you can make it to taste.
You can make it to taste. Other forms of coffee, that particularly jumped out to my mind, although it overlaps with the little bottle over there, is the spray dried instant stuff. Sometimes I think Sanka, I think is that kind of also.
Is it Taster's Choice?
Taster's Choice, yeah. They'll come in cans, they'll come in bottles. In the army, they come in ration packs. Like you get a little paper thing of coffee instant type 1. Nice. So that's like your just average your basic instant mix it in water and be done with it kind of thing. So there's no shortage of types, really. Personally, not a method, but a variety of coffee that I am interested in trying is Shogun coffee, which is the coffee that was the of course reverse engineered blend of coffee that was served by the last shogun of Japan in 1867 at one of the first international diplomatic functions that he hosted, and his descendant Tokugawa Yoshitomo, who very recently passed on, created that blend, and it's now a coffee that you can buy, and I would love to have Shogun coffee. WeMad says, do you guys have Irish coffee? It's about the only different one here from just regular. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Do you want to bring it? Is it?
I don't know if we can do that on Twitch.
Okay, we can't do it on Twitch, but we do have Irish coffee. Like we have Is it? What's the proper term for it? Is it a mix? Like what's the? Liqueur.
Yeah, it's a liqueur.
Yeah, we have a bottle. We regularly have bottles of Irish coffee that we.
Or Irish cream.
Yeah. Irish cream that we will mix in our coffee. I have a bit of a ritual sometimes. Oh yeah, it's definitely a thing. Bailey's or Carolans or any number of other brands. It's not unheard of here. Now that being said, I don't know if it's common, but it's certainly known. But thank you for asking. That's a good question. This is a thing. This is a thing that I certainly have come to enjoy. But I have a bit of a personal ritual some days where after 5 p.m., clocking out of work, and I'm still having coffee, I'll put a little bit of Irish cream in my coffee, and things are good. This does not have Irish cream in it.
No.
Rest easy.
We
don't want to get canceled on by Twitch. You have yes.
Have you tried? I know I've gotten it before. Have you tried the PBR hard coffee?
I have not tried the PBR hard coffee. We are not going to bring it out, but this is another thing that exists now. PBR, that favored brand of American hipsters, the favorite beer brand of American hipsters, now has a coffee drink. Weirdly enough, for somebody like me who's GF, I am her GF. Weirdly enough, for a beer, a label that's otherwise associated with beer, their coffee is gluten-free. Go figure. The canned coffee stuff. But yeah, there is...
I think they know who their core market is.
There is PBR coffee now. If you can believe it. Like, wow. That being said, honey, could you get one of the cans of Boss out of the fridge?
Oh, yes.
I just remembered, as we're coming up to the end here, very much like Yoo-Hoo. Interesting. I haven't had it yet, so I'll bear that in mind. Because I have had Yoo-Hoo. Alright, so another variety of coffee. I'm not going to open this, but canned coffee. Having lived in Japan, this is something I've known for a long time. I've known about for a long time. This is a bit taller than your average Japanese coffee can size. Although I think the volume might come out to the same because the Japanese cans are a little wider. So your average vending machine in Japan
this size
will have, also in this format, will have just these canned coffees. That being said, it's a bit of a pain to make. It's a bit of a pain to make to get a hold of something that is unsweetened and with no milk, because I guess chalk it up to being brought up on Turkish coffee. My preference is for my coffee to be black. So, or as the other way I like to put it is, the only thing I prefer straight is my coffee.
These you can find at several of the Asian markets around town. I got this from Panda Supermarket up in Squirrel Hill.
Canned coffee is more common in the U.S. than it used to be. There are, in fact, local companies that now make canned coffee. La Colombe is my favorite coffee house in Philadelphia. You may have seen their canned coffees in stores here in Greater Pittsburgh. I can't praise them too highly. They're very good. My favorite type of coffee, like blend. 2 minutes. My favorite blend of coffee, if you were curious, is something called God of Thunder, which is made by Gelato Fiasco in Brunswick, Maine. And it's this dark, just powerful blend of coffee that I look forward to having again, but that's my favorite. Anyway, thank you for joining me for coffee and for coffee conversation. Thank you for joining me in the skunk. And have a great day. Please try. Yes, Seattle coffee is overhyped. Have a great day. Thank you. And as I always say at the end of my streams, who you are and what lights your fire, even coffee, is worth fighting for. I'll see you around.
Mute.